Hello. In this screencast, I'm going to talk about two cards that look to record separate copies of the same work, neither of which we will be able to find in the spreadsheets, and so for which we'll need to create additional Photostat items entries in that spreadsheet, but for different reasons, as we'll see. Work I'm looking at is represented on this bottom card here, chemistry in relation to biology and medicine, etc. On this card, we see a BML call number with date, 1J19391. There is another card that evidently records another copy of the same work, chemistry in relation to biology and medicine, same author, same publication place and year, with an old-fashioned BML style call number. Now it is marked withdrawn, but nevertheless, even if we see a withdrawn stamp on a photostat, it still behooves us to check the catalog to see whether there is a copy in the system, as will be demonstrated in this example. Since one is a BML style BML call number and the other is an HML style BML call number, that would corroborate the thought that the different libraries cataloged these separately and then these cards were interfiled. So let's see what we find in Hollis. Let's start by searching on 1J19391. We'll go to call number other. And you'll see that there is no record corresponding to that call number that comes up in Hollis. Let's try T1776. Here we do see a record that apparently corresponds. We'll click on that. Now, there is not a lot of descriptive cataloging metadata on this card to corroborate with what's in the bib record, but there are a couple of telling clues that suggest that this card corresponds to this record in ALMA. And one of them is that the ampersands in the title correspond to the ampersands on the card. If you look at the way the title is represented on the card, chemistry in relation to biology, ampersand, medicine, with special reference to insulin, ampersand, other hormones, and then the publication place and year also correspond between the two. So that's a pretty solid set of clues that we have a match here. So now when we look at the holding statement, there's only one, and it's a count-weighted gen holding statement. So that would suggest that we're not going to find any record in the spreadsheet for this work. And indeed, I won't do it now, but I will point out that I have run a Hollis search on this, spreadsheet search on this Hollis number, which turned up nothing. So you're not going to find any record in the main spreadsheet that corresponds to this bib record. Likewise, going back now, I have confirmed that no search in the spreadsheet for this record with the HML style BML call number will pull up a record in the main spreadsheet. So what that means is that following our procedures for entering rows in the additional Photostat items sheet, we'll need to enter two rows, one corresponding to this card and a second corresponding to this top card. Now, what you do, going back to the bib record that we found in Hollis, is you copy the Hollis number and you use that in recording the entries for this work. And I'll show you that I've already done it here. If you look at rows 272 and 273, let me talk about what I've done here. Row 272 corresponds to the BML owned copy, judging that on the basis of the BML style BML call number. So we've given that an ownership value of BML. We will give this item, this record, a location of gen because there is a record in ALMA under this call number with a gen holdings record. So we can pin this call number to this location, so we give it gen in the location field. And I've copied in the title, I've copied in the author, I've typed in the BML style call number, and I've added that Hollis number that we got from Hollis. In this next row, corresponding to the evidently originally HML owned copy, we put in the same title, the same author, we put in that HML style BML call number with the date. Again, that corresponds to this card down here, 1J19391. Because that indicates HML ownership, we've put HML in the ownership field. And finally, because these look to all appearances to be copies of the same work, it would be okay to enter in the MMSID field here the same MMSID that we had placed in the first of the two rows. I've left that blank for now because I want to demonstrate something important. One way that you can, of course, fill these values is simply paste and then paste again. Now, those of you who are familiar with spreadsheets might simply drag the value from one cell to the next. And I just wanted to enter a caveat here if you do so. Because this is treated not as a text string, but as a numerical value, it's actually going to increment this if you drag to pull this value down into this next cell as follows. So now you see that instead of ending with 1, the way it should, it's been incremented up by 1 so that it ends in 2. And that's not okay. That's not the MMSID number that we want. So be wary of that if you attempt to drag values from one cell in the spreadsheet to another. And that's the way it's going to look in the end.